Can you guys close the door? Okay, so what did we complete in the previous session? We completed abstract class, and we said yeah, we also completed interfaces also, right? We completed. No, only abstract class is completed. Okay. Is anyone gone through the videos, YouTube videos? You all are so busy. If married woman, I can understand family, kids, etc., etc. They are busy. If working person, I can understand they are busy. You all are freshers, man. You should have good energy of 12 to 14 hours per day. Okay. Okay. So we will start. Okay. Today we'll talk about interfaces. Before to that, let's recap what is abstract class. What is abstract class? A class contains at least one abstract method. A class contains at least one abstract class. Then we call that class as a abstract class. Abstract class can contain abstract methods as well as non-abstract methods. It can contain both abstract and as well as non-abstract methods. Okay. And interface contains only abstract method. Interface contains only abstract methods. Okay. An interface is a blueprint of a class. An interface is a blueprint of a class. It has a static, constant, and abstract methods. It is having static, constants, and abstract method. Now, if you declare any variable, right? So Java interface is mechanism to achieve full abstraction in Java. Okay. There can be only abstract methods in interface. There can be only abstract methods in the interface. And it is used to achieve fully abstraction and multiple inheritance. I think I said yesterday, inheritance, we can achieve it indirectly using the interfaces. That's what we are trying to mention here. It cannot be instantiated just like a abstract class. Instantiated means object creation. You cannot create any. Always remember instantiation. Instantiation means object. Instantiation means you cannot create a object. So you guys cannot create an object to the abstract class. Also, you cannot create object to the interfaces. Okay. And why to use interface? Interface is achieved fully abstraction. Second one is by interface, we can support the functionality of multiple inheritance. If you wanted to achieve multiple inheritance, then go for using the interfaces concept. The Java compiler interface contains what? Interface contains abstract methods and variables. Interface, don't think interface will contain only abstract methods. It also contains the variable. It's just like a class. What I'm saying, interface is a blueprint of the class. Blueprint means whatever you have in the class, same thing will be available in the interface. Only difference is here all abstract methods. Remaining all are same. Remaining all in the sense, class contains what? Data members and methods. Data members means variables. Interface can also contain the variables. Interface can also contain the methods, but only abstract method. That is only the difference. Okay. And one more difference is for a class, you can create an object. For an interface, you cannot create any object. Okay. Now the Java compiler adds public and abstract keywords before your method name. So what Java compiler is going to do? Java compiler is going to add public keyword, also abstract keyword before the method in the interface. But when it comes to abstract class, is it adding by default public and abstract? We are explicitly writing the abstract, right? If you go to here, if you go to the abstract class, what we are trying to do here? For method, I have to write the abstract. If I don't write it, it will give an error. It is forcing you to add the abstract keyword before the method. But when it comes to interfaces, it is not going to create any. You don't need to write the abstract. It will automatically add the abstract. If you want to make this method as a public, if you wanted to make this method as a public, then you have to explicitly write a public here. Separately, you have to write public. But when it comes to interfaces, compiler is going to add public keyword and abstract keyword by default. You don't need to write public and abstract in front of the method in interface. Okay. And interface contains also variables. Interface also contains the variables. So what variables? Any variable you guys can declare. There is no restriction, right? So for variables, compiler is going to add public, static, and final keywords. For variables, system is going to add public, static, and final keywords. For method, it will add two keywords. One is public, one is public and abstract. You're sleepy mode because weather is good. Right? So by default, for method, interface adding public keyword. Sorry, for method, interface is adding, compiler is adding public and abstract. But when it comes to interfaces, methods, variables, what it is going to add? Public, static, and final. When it comes to abstract, all variables are normal variables. If you want them to declare it as a public, static, and final, you have to write them explicitly. You have to write them explicitly indicating it is a public, static, and final variable. Now, how to declare an interface? That we will discuss with example. Multiple inheritance in Java. So how do we achieve multiple inheritance in Java? Now what we do, class extends the class. In inheritance, what we do? Class extends the, but when it comes to interfaces, class implements the interface. Class implements the interface. Why it implements the interface? Because interface contains what? Only abstract methods. You have to provide implementation of those methods. Anything going on? Anything urgent you want to talk? Okay. So interface, if it is an interface, class should implement the interface. If it is an interface, class should implement the interface. Class can extend the class. Similarly, interface can extend the interface. Class can extend the class. Interface can extend the interface. But class cannot extend the interface. Class can implement the interface. Why we are using implements keyword? Because any class that is implementing the interface should provide implementation of the abstract methods. Implementation means definition of the methods. Okay. Now let's try to write one program. Who is this video? Okay. Let's try to write one example for interface. How do you declare an interface? Interface name. Okay. I would say interface 1. Okay, and just say interface example. Okay, here on top of this class, I go and create one interface. How to declare an interface? Interface name. Okay, interface contains what? Variables, x equal to 99, some value. Okay, then it contains methods. Void. Sorry. So it contains, interface contains abstract method. So you don't need to provide any definition. Okay. So what is this containing? One method. What method called? Method 1. It can be any method. I'm just giving the name as method 1 just to understand it. It is having some method. Now, what compiler is going to add? Compiler is going to add for variable. What keywords it is going to add? Public, static, final. By default, compiler is going to add keywords like public, static, and final keywords. And what keywords it is going to add for method? Public, abstract. What I mean to say is you don't need to write these keywords. You don't need to write these keywords. Compiler will add itself. Okay. If you don't write it, it will, or you write it, it doesn't matter. By default, it is going to consider it as these keywords. What do you mean by final? I will explain. I think we didn't even discuss it about the final. Now interface name, same like class only. Class name, open and close. But here what we are doing, interface name, opening and closing the brackets. Now class implements the interface. In inheritance, what we used, class extends the class. But when it comes to interfaces, now what we are doing, class implements interface one. Immediately you get the error. Whenever I say implement, you are getting immediately an error. Why are you getting an error? Because you should implement the, which method you have to implement? Which interface you are implementing? Interface one. Interface one containing what? Method one. Method one is what? Interface contains what? Only abstract methods. Interface contains only abstract class. Sorry, abstract method. So now what I have to do, I have to provide the definition. I have to provide the definition for method one. You know why we are getting error? There is nothing wrong from the syntax point of view. Opening is correct, closing is correct, everything is correct. By default, method, what keywords compiler will add for method? It will add public and for method, public and abstract. Now you understand the fix what it is suggesting. Cannot reduce the visibility of the inherited method from interface. It is saying cannot reduce the visibility. Visibility means we'll talk about it. Access modifiers, public, private, protected, and default, that we will discuss. Now this method is what? By default it is a public. It is not visible, but compiler will add any, by default compiler is going to add. So if you look at the fix, what it is suggesting, you have to add the public. Why I have to add the public? Because here this method is public. Semicolon, no, you don't give semicolon to functions. Is it clear? Now interface has some abstract method. Class is extending the interface. Class is extending the interface. And then, sorry, class implementing the interface, not extending. Class is implementing the interface. Then it should provide the definition of method one. What will happen if I don't give the definition? What will happen? Now I will not give the definition of this method one. What will happen? When you extend, what happens? Whatever you have in the class will come to the subclass. Whenever you extend one class, all the properties of superclass will come to the subclass. Now, when you implement interface, what happens? Same concept. Whatever you have in the interface will come as it is. Whatever you have in the interface, you will get the same thing. Now, if I don't give the definition, this void method one will come here as abstract only, because this method itself is abstract. If you don't provide, because you are implementing, this method one will be available in the subclass. Then this will become an abstract method. A class contains abstract method is what? Abstract class. If it is an abstract class, can you create an object? You cannot create it. Now what I have to do? I have to create an object. Obj dot method one. Okay, are you guys getting? What is interface? Interface contain abstract methods and public, static, final variables. Now this class interface example is implementing interface 1. So any class implementing the interface, any class implementing the interface should provide the definition, implementation. Definition means implementation. That's why we are calling it as implements. Implement. So you have to provide the definition of this particular method 1. Just try to run it. It will execute the method 1. Definition of method. Is it clear? Now, what is this X? I'm not using this X anywhere. You wanted to use X anywhere, you can just go ahead and use it. Okay, you can either use in method 1 or you can even use in the main method also, right? Now, what is X? Public, static, and final. By default, compiler is adding these words. Now, what I'm saying here, I wanted to give X value equal to 88. I wanted to give the value of X equal to 88. Final. This is called final variable. Final means constant. Constant means you cannot change. So what is the value I have given in interface? 99. So what I have to use here in the class? 88. If you want to use it, use it. If you wanted to use it, use it. Don't change the value. Always remember final mean constant. Anyhow, after interfaces, today I will explain you about the final. That is most important thing from the interview point of view. Okay. Now, class implements the interface. Now I wanted to write one more example for interface. So you have an option to create interface also here. Instead of selecting the class, if you select an interface, it will create you one interface. It will ask you the interface name, like how it is asking class name. Similarly, it is going to ask you the interface name. But don't do that. If you create an interface, again, you have to write the class again. So first I will create a class. Now I will write multiple interfaces. Now I wanted to write interface 2. Why I'm writing 2? Because it will not allow to use interface 1 because it is already created in the same package. If it is a separate package, it will allow you to do. But when it comes to different package, it allows you to. Okay, see what is happening. I'm just typing. It's not even waiting for to open and close the bracket, immediately throwing an error. Don't think you are doing something wrong here. You're not doing anything wrong. It is not giving a chance to open and close the brackets. Once you open and close, it will go, error will go. So interface 2 is containing what? Method 1, some method. Okay. And then I have one more interface. Interface 3. Now interface 3 is having one more method. Void method 2. How many interfaces you have now? 2 interfaces. Interface 1, interface 2. Sorry, interface 2 and interface 3. What I said, you can achieve multiple inheritance using the interfaces. I said you can achieve multiple inheritance using the interfaces. Now class can extend only one class. Class can extend at a time only one class, but class can extend multiple interfaces. Class can extend multiple interfaces. Now what I wanted to do, if you wanted to implement, what keyword you have to use? Implements. Which interface you wanted to implement? Both. Interface 3, just separate it with comma. Interface 4, sorry, 2 and 4, 2 and 3, sorry. Is it clear? So previous example, one interface, one class is implementing only one interface. Now what we are trying to do, I'm trying to implement multiple interfaces. Interface 2 I'm implementing. I'm also implementing interface 3 as well. It is implementing both of the interfaces. So why this error? On the type was okay. Since I'm just implementing two interfaces, it immediately throwing saying implement the definitions. It is immediately throwing show the write the definition. Now this class, for don't worry about this error message. Now this class should provide definition for which methods? Okay. How many interfaces you have? Two. What is the interface names? Interface 2 and interface 3. You have two interfaces. What is your class name? Multiple interfaces. How many interfaces it is extending? Two interfaces. What are those interfaces? Interface 2 and interface 3. Interface 2 containing what? Method 1. One method. Interface 2 containing what? Method 3. Yeah, method 2. So now how many methods this class should provide implementation? 3 methods. How many interfaces you have? Each interface having how many methods? Each interface how many methods? Each interface how many methods? One method. How many interfaces? Total how many methods? Two methods. If I am in your mood, that's okay. Today's I use for 14-15 years Friday mood. You're just starting, right? Every Friday is like, Friday lazy and Monday is crazy. that will always have that. Every Friday, most of the people will be 2 days, weekend, etc. But you guys are already started this before entering into IT. So how many interfaces it is extending? Interface 2 and interface 3. Does it needs to provide implementation for method 1 and method 2 or only method 2 or only method 1? Both methods should provide because it is implementing two interfaces. So I have to provide the definition. So what is my definition? Same thing. I can copy paste it just to save the time. The method 1 definition is already here, right? I can copy it and paste it. Now I need to provide definition for method 2 also. Why I should provide definition for method 2? Because you are implementing two interfaces. If this interface 2 and interface 3 is a class, if interface 2 and interface 3 is a class, right? You cannot extend more than one class. You cannot extend more than one class. Now, what is this one? This is a interface. Since it is an interface, you can extend more than one interface at a time. Now you are providing the implementations to these methods. Don't think that this class should have only these two methods. It can have its own methods. I'm not writing it. I hope you know the concept, right? A class can contain its own methods along with the superclass. It can also contain the methods which is coming from from interface. It can also contain its own methods. Okay. Why interface supports multiple inheritance but class not support? I don't know. I don't know what is the reason why they removed. But C++ allows multiple inheritance. C++ supports multiple inheritance. Maybe they would have found some drawbacks, or I don't know. They did not implement it in Java. Okay, is it clear now? I repeat, class extends the class. Class implements the interface. Interface extends the interface. Now we'll write one more example to show you interface extends the interface. So what would be my program name? Interface extends interface. Now I'll just copy paste the code. Don't need to type multiple times. I cannot, okay, it's allowing to use, let it allow. Okay. You have interface 2 and interface 3. Now, Yeah, I will explain you why we have to use the interface. I will explain you. I'm sure if I explain now, you may get 50%. You will not get 100% for sure. If I explain you why we are using interface at this moment, if you understood, well and good. If you do not understand also, well and good. Don't think why I'm not understanding. 90% of the people will not understand now. Once we start the Selenium, that too when we start the WebDriver, then you can easily understand what we are trying to do. Anyhow, I'll try to explain WebDriver also in case if you're not getting it. That time you will understand, okay? Now, this interface 3, is there any relation now? All are independent. Now what I'm doing, interface 3 extends. This is an example to show you interface extends interface. Class extends class, interface extends interface, but class can implement the interface. Class can extend only one class, but class can extend multiple interfaces. Is it clear? Okay. Now I'm saying interface 3 implements interface 3. Now it is showing, it says interface already defined. It did not tell first. Now it is telling. We have 2, 3 already, right? I'll create interface 4 and then I'll create interface 5. Interface 5 extends interface 4. I'm writing interface 5. Now, what are the method definitions I have to provide? Only method 2. Only method 2. Okay. Understand program. I'll give you some 1 or 2 minutes time. Then you can answer. Just look at how many interfaces you have, how many classes you have. You can understand. Why are you taking this much time? It is very, very simple. 2 methods. Only method 2. Okay. Girls or women, whatever. Yeah, there is. So, which method I have to implement? Method 1 or method 2 or both? Only method 2? Both? Calm people are very dangerous. I always believe calm people, anyhow, they always blast. They be calm, otherwise they blast. They won't be like normal. Okay. What is interface 4? What is interface 4 is having? What is the method name? Method 1, M1. What is another interface? Interface 5. Interface 5 is doing what? Extends. Which interface? Extend means what happens? Inheritance. Extend means which interface you are extending. Interface 4 is having what? Method 1. So interface 5 will get method 1. Yes or no? You'll get it, right? Now class is implementing which interface? Interface 5. Interface containing how many methods? By only 2 you are saying. You have to implement 2 methods. Method 1 you have to give definition. Method 2 also you have to give the definition. Why method 2? Interface 5 is extending interface 4, right? So you have to, interface 5 will have what? One method from interface 4 also. So interface 5 is having how many methods now? Method 1 from interface 2, sorry, interface 4. Method 2 from interface 5 itself. Then which method, which interface you are implementing? Interface 5. Interface 5 containing what? Same inheritance concept. Wherever you say extends, until I do not explain access specifiers, we'll talk about it later. Class, I will get into the subclass. Same thing. Interface is also extending, means it will get all the methods. Line number 11, which implementing interface 5. Now, how many methods you have? You have to provide definitions of method 1 and method 2. Why? Because interface 5 is getting one method from interface 4. Why? It is extending. Extending means what you have on top, you will get in the bottom subclass. Same thing we are doing. Why an error? Add unimplemented methods. Okay. Got it now? Now what you have to do? Create an object. To call them, you have to create a object. Can we create object for interface? You cannot. Can we create object to the abstract class? Why? Because it contains one abstract method. Can we create object to the interface? No, because it contains all methods are abstract only. It will not allow it to non-abstract methods. So I have to call obj method 2. What is missing? Okay, just run it. It is executing method 1 and method 2. Both it. Is it clear now? Okay, make a note. I think little bit confusion I see with you guys. So make a note. Put heading as interfaces. Put heading as interfaces. Interface contains interface contains only abstract methods and variables. Interface contains only abstract methods and variables. By default, all the methods in interface are public. By default, all the methods in the interface are public and abstract. Public and abstract. Next line. Public and abstract. Next line. By default, all the variables in interface are public, static, final. By default, all the variables in interface are public, static, and final. Okay. Next line. Class implements the interface. Class implements the interface. Next line. Class can implement more than one interface. Class can implement more than one interface. This is how continuation. This is how multiple inheritance. This is how multiple inheritance is achieved. This is how multiple inheritance is achieved using interfaces. This is how multiple inheritance is achieved using interfaces. Okay, next line. Interface can extend the interface. 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 Next line. A class which is implementing interface. A class which is implementing interface. A class which is implementing interface should provide definitions of the methods of interface. Next line. We cannot create an object. We cannot create an object to the interface. We cannot provide object to the interface. Okay, is it clear now? Simple. Interface only abstract methods. Abstract methods as well as non-abstract methods. You cannot create object to the abstract class. You cannot create object to the interfaces, right? What else the difference? Did I tell you the interview asked question? Difference between abstract class and interface? You noted down? Okay, make a note. Difference mostly asked interview question. Differences between abstract class and interface. Differences between abstract class and interface. You guys have the answer, right? You have the answer, right? Or do you want me to tell? Okay, make a note. Abstract class can contain abstract methods as well as non-abstract methods. Next line. Interfaces contains only abstract methods. Next line. The next line. Or methods in interface are by default public and abstract. Whereas this is not in abstract class. Whereas this is not the case in abstract class. Understood? Slowly. This is not the case in abstract class. Okay, you want me to repeat complete line? Okay. All the methods in interface are by default public and abstract, whereas it is not the same, whereas it is not the same, whereas it is not the same in abstract class, whereas it is not same in the abstract class. Next line. You still want to repeat again? Okay, next line. Next line. All the variables in interface, all the variables in interface, all the variables in interface are, all the variables in interface are public, static, final. Public, static, final. Whereas it is not the same, whereas it is not the same, whereas it is not the same in abstract class, whereas it is not same in the abstract class. Okay, mostly asked question. Okay, now integer initialization possible and abstractly. Yeah, you can put integers. You, if you want, you can also change the values in outside of the abstract class. You can put it. Okay, we are done with the interfaces. Nothing more. Now the next question comes: why should I use interfaces? What is the use of abstract classes? What is the use of abstract classes? Now, let's take an example. You have, I always say, architect role, automation architect. What is automation architect role? Architect role is to design the framework, design the architecture of the framework. Whenever architect coming into picture, what architect will do? Architect will create interfaces. Architect will create interface and put some methods. Like say, I will create one interface called login. All the methods related to login functionality, I'll create all of them as abstract methods. Now what I will do, I will put it like this. I'll create one interface called login. In here, I'll put one function called verify login. It's a interface contains what only? Abstract method. Now I'll put verify logout. Sorry, I need not to give the definition. Okay, verify logout. What's going on? Verify logout. And all related to login issue. I'll create one more function called reset pin. And I'll close the interface. I'll tell to the testing team, guys, I already created abstract methods. Whoever is writing a login class. Now, architect generally will not sit and write the coding. They will just give you the architecture. They will design the automation framework. At the same time, they also create some interfaces. So now let's say I'm the tester. I'm working to create a login functionality. Okay. Now what I would do, I need to extend, so not extends, implements login. Now I am the tester. I have to write the logic for, there should not be any space, sorry. Okay, I need to write method definition for verify login. Here I have to write my coding. This is called implementation of the login method. What an architect will do, they would just create an interface. They will put some methods and they will ask all team members, whoever is working on login, please go ahead and implement this interface and provide the definition. This is one place where we are going to use, all the methods have to provide a definition, logout and pin. Can we use method overloading? I think I'm saying interface contain only methods, no definition. Definition you can put if you want to put the same name, you can put. Don't think it should not contain any parameters. Method is a method. It doesn't matter abstract method or normal method or static method. If you want to provide some parameters here, you can provide. I will give you string user ID, comma, string password. A method can take the parameters, right? So you can declare one method in the interface. If parameterization needed, just give the parameterization. You guys can give it. Don't think interface method should be always blank, non-parameterized. It can be parameterized. If you wanted to give the data, you guys can give the data. This is one example. Now, example, real-time example, if I have to give, you have something called, in Selenium, we have something called WebDriver. What is a WebDriver? Interface. So how they have created, they just created interface. There are two types, same thing, predefined and user-defined classes. Similarly, predefined interfaces and user-defined interfaces. Whichever I defined now are called user-defined, which is already created is called as predefined. WebDriver is what? Predefined interface. They have one method called get. Selenium company thought, who developed Selenium? ThoughtWorks. They have developed one interface called WebDriver. So what I'm saying, WebDriver is a core component of the Selenium. Core component of the Selenium. What this method is having? String URL. Like that, there are so many methods. Don't think it is containing only one method. Get method is one of the method which is available in the WebDriver interface. What does that mean? Inside the WebDriver interface means it's a abstract method. Get is what? Abstract method. It is taking one parameter. What parameter? String. This method, what is the purpose of this method? To open the browser and type application URL. So in manual testing, what we do? First we open the browser, then we type URL in manual testing. But when it comes to automation testing, what you have to do? You have to use this get method. Wherever I use get method, get method will take one parameter which is called URL. Now understand Selenium supports how many browsers? Almost all the browsers. Selenium supports almost all the browsers. One time I wanted to open it in Chrome. Again, I wanted to open it in Firefox, like different browsers. Now, they just created one interface. Now I create one class called, which browser it is? Chrome driver. I'll put one class called Chrome. Chrome driver is also predefined class. Chrome driver is predefined class. Who defined it? Google. Google company has defined the class called Chrome driver. What these guys are doing? These guys are implementing WebDriver interface. What WebDriver interface contains? One method. Which method? Multiple methods it will contain. I'm just giving one example to understand real time. What these guys will do? These guys will write it will take the URL, and these guys will write code to open Chrome. These guys will code to open Chrome. These guys will open the browser to open the Chrome browser, right? Because they are from Google, they have their own browser, which is called Chrome. They write a coding to open the Chrome browser. Now, I wanted to write one more class called Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer is one more predefined class. This class is defined by whom? Microsoft. Internet Explorer belongs to whom? Microsoft. Internet Explorer implements WebDriver. These guys also will write the coding for this method. Multiple classes are implementing the WebDriver. One class is Chrome driver, one class is Internet Explorer, right? And these guys will write coding to open Internet Explorer browser, right? These guys are implementing. Are you guys getting now? What is a WebDriver interface? It contains what? abstract method. Abstract method, what example I'm giving you? You have a get method. Get method is what? To open the browser, it takes the URL and opens the browser and types the URL. Now Google people wanted to implement that method so that they can open Chrome browser. Now Microsoft team has another browser which is called Internet Explorer. They have their own class. Microsoft team is defined one class called Internet Explorer. What these guys are doing? Implementing the WebDriver. They are writing the code for get method. Any class that is implementing any class that is implementing the WebDriver, they should provide the definition. Are you guys getting? I'm giving you real-time practical example where interfaces are used. Now you have one more browser, Microsoft Edge. Which implements what these guys will do? Same, they implement to open what? Implementations are changing. I'll create one interface. Your wish. You want to implement your way, implement it. I want to implement my way, implement it. What do you mean by your way, I way? Google. What they are opening? Google browser. Internet Explorer, Microsoft. They are implementing the WebDriver. What they are doing? They are also implementing to open what? Internet Explorer. Microsoft is also having one more browser. Which browser? Internet Explorer. They have one class already called Internet Explorer, sorry, Microsoft Edge. They are implementing the WebDriver. What they are writing coding to implement? Opening the Microsoft Edge browser. Now you have one more class. You have something class called Firefox, which is also implementing WebDriver. What these guys are doing? These guys also are implementing get method. It is implemented for opening for what? Is it clear? Where interfaces are used? I'm giving you 100% practical example. That's what is happening in the market now. Selenium created what? WebDriver, one interface. What they are doing? Different companies are using. They're implementing the WebDriver. Now you have one more class called Safari browser. They have one class called Safari. What these guys are doing? Safari class is also implementing WebDriver interface. What code they will write? The code they will write to open the Safari browser. Mostly interview asks question, what is an interface? Why do we use them? You guys know what is an interface. It contains only abstract methods and public static final variables. Next question, what is the use of interface? Just give this example. Just remember or note down if you can't remember, give this example. They will 100% be happy. Oh, this guy knows in detail understanding with the practical real-time understanding. This is what exactly place where WebDriver is used. I thought of explaining it once Selenium is started. I hope you got it now, right? What is the use of interface or any questions? I create an interface. Everyone wanted to implement according to their own way. One is opening Chrome browser, one is opening internet, one is opening Firefox, one is opening Safari. It's up to you. Now, which browser I wanted to use, it's up to me. Okay. This is where exactly this particular method is used. Is it clear or any questions? If someone is asking, where do you use interface? Give same example. Selenium has WebDriver. WebDriver itself is and it contains lot of method, out of which I will give you one example called get method. And get method is used to open the browser and type the URL. Google people implemented this get method to open the Google browser. Microsoft implemented one method to Internet Explorer, one more class for Microsoft Edge. Firefox people implemented to open the All these classes, how many browsers you are having in the market, all those browsers are predefined classes. All those browsers are predefined classes, and everyone is implementing the WebDriver interface. According to their browser, they are writing coding to open their Chrome browser. Now, if you wanted to see, I will show you in Selenium, since we already came at this level discussion. Now, see, this is the code. So what I'm saying, WebDriver is what? Interface. I'm saying WebDriver driver equal to, here I'm specifying which browser I wanted to use. Here I'm specifying which browser. The Chrome driver is what? Predefined class. I just explained, right? Chrome driver is what? That's what I'm saying. Driver dot Chrome driver. When I say driver dot get, I think here I'm using navigate. Where is the, yeah, driver dot, I'll put this code in comment. Which method I'm using? Driver dot get. Which browser it will open? Chrome. Why? Because I'm specifying Chrome driver class. Chrome driver is what? Predefined class. What it is implementing? WebDriver. Which method I have to use to open? Get method. Get method, which code they are writing? Opening the Firefox. I think, sorry, Google Chrome. I think I also have one more method for Firefox. I don't know which package it is, but instead of Chrome driver, if I write Firefox driver, get method will open the browser of Firefox. This is what major advantage and purpose of the interfaces. You just declare a prototype. You just declare a prototype and leave it on the people how they wanted to implement according to their own wish. Okay. Now, when I run this method, it will open the HRM application and it will go in, open in which browser? Chrome browser. Okay. This is what exactly the purpose of interfaces. Clear? Mostly asked question, why do we use an interface? Freshers generally will not be able to understand what is the purpose of interface until unless some experienced person comes like this, then only they can explain you. Okay. Now we are done with interfaces. We will move on for final. Make a note, final. What is by default? All the variables in interface are what? Public, static, and final. All the variables are public, static, and final. I try to change the value of X. Is it allowed to change the value? Why? Because it is a final variable by default. Okay. Just make heading as final. Final can be implemented. This is again most interview asked thing. I'll tell you the interview question later. Final can be used with the below. Final keyword can be used with below. Final keyword can be used with below. First one, variable. First one, variable. If you declare any variable, as final, if you declare any variable as final, that variable is a constant. That variable is a constant, and value of that variable cannot be changed. Value of that variable cannot be changed. I also changed in subclasses. Just mentioned cannot be changed in subclasses. Cannot be changed in subclasses. But whenever I say final variable, I can change it where it is declared. Example, what I mean to say where it is declared. I declared it in the interface, right? Which interface? Here I declared. Don't think I cannot change here. I can change here. This is only the place where I'm declaring. But if I wanted to use it outside the class, in subclass or wherever, you cannot change it. It's a constant. Constant means it cannot be changed. Okay. Now next one. Next point number 2. Point number 2. Point number 2 is what? Final method. Final method. Final method. If you declare any method as final, 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 that method cannot be overridden. That method cannot override. You can mention cannot override in the subclass. Cannot override in the subclass. Cannot override in the subclass. Point number 3. Final class. Final class. If you declare any class, if you declare any class as final, if you declare any class as final, that class cannot be extended. That class cannot be extended. Means it cannot be a superclass. Means it cannot be a superclass. Means it cannot be a superclass. Mostly asked question. First time when I went for an interview and I don't know this final concept. One of the company, they asked me, I don't want someone to override my method. What should I do? I said, I don't know. Anyhow, I didn't get offer for that interview. Later, I came and explored myself. Final in Java, same thing, whatever I explained. Now, we'll see one example for final, okay? Click on finish. Now, I'm creating one class called ABC. Okay. Here I'm putting one variable int x equal to some 99. Then I'm putting one method, some code. Now I wanted to extend this class. Now I wanted to extend the class called ABC. It allows you to extend. Class ABC extends ABC. So now what I can do, I can go ahead and create an OBJ. Sorry. Final example, OBJ equal to new final example. OBJ dot method 1. All looks good because there is no final is involved here. Now class final example is extending the ABC. ABC is what? Normal class. So it can be a superclass. Here it can be a superclass. What notes you have noted down for final class? If you declare any class as a final, it cannot be a super class. It means you cannot extend that class. Now what I will do, I will go and declare this class as final. It immediately throwing an error. Is it allowing you to extend? What error it is throwing? You can put the cursor. The type final example cannot be subclass. This cannot be subclass. The final class, it's clearly saying it's a final class ABC. So you cannot extend. Is it clear? Before adding final, it was allowing me to use. Now I will add final, it is not allowing to use. Now I will remove final. It will allow to see the error is gone now. Now I wanted to override the method. I wanted to override the method. So what do you mean by override? I'll take this method one. I'll put same. This is what the method one, right? Superclass and subclass will have the same method name. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put it as same method. Now is it allowing? Because you are extending superclass and subclass as the same name, right? So now what is this called as overriding? Superclass and subclass will have same name. When superclass and subclass has the same name, it is called as a overriding. Why it is allowing you to override? Is it audible now? I know. Is it better? Okay. Now what I said, if you declare any method as final method, what will happen? See, it will throw immediately error here. Is it throwing? Why? Because it's a final method. You cannot override. Just put the cursor. Cannot override the final method from ABC. Why it is not allowing? Because now this method is a final method. If you declare any method as a final, you cannot override. If you declare any class as a final class, you cannot extend. No class can extend that particular class. Now, if you declare any variable as final, is this final variable by default? Is this is a final variable? It will be final by default only in the interface. Only in the interface, not in the class. So now what I will do, I'll try to change the value of x here. I'll change the value of x equal to 88. Sorry. I think I haven't put cannot make a start. This is static. I'll put somewhere here. I'll put it. Is it allowing you to modify? It's already 89. I'll put. What is wrong? What is the value of x here? 99. I'm changing it to what? Is it allowing to change? Now what I will do? Come and see. Is it allowing? Are you guys getting what is the use of final? You don't want someone to extend my class itself. I have complete privacy information like employee details. Employee details will have what? Full confidential information, all employee personal information, all employee salary details. So I will declare the class employee details as final class so that no one can access my class. No one can extend my class. If they cannot extend, they cannot use anything. If they cannot extend, they cannot do anything. So this is for the final. You ask questions. I think I don't need to tell you, you already have those. If you declare a class as a final, the question will come same thing. What should I do if I don't want someone to extend my class? You already have the answer. What should I do if someone don't want to override my class? You have the answer. What should I do if I don't want someone to change my variable value? You have the answer. Okay. Now, what and all examples we discussed? Final, interface example, interface extends, interface example. What is the next one? Somewhere only 3 we discussed, is it? It related to interface. Interface example, multiple interface. Okay. Multiple interfaces. Let me copy and put it in the Google Class. Interval started. Go ahead, go ahead. Anyhow, we are done with the class. So, any questions you guys have? I placed all the examples in Google Class. Okay. We'll have a class tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday, but still we'll have a class Monday to Saturday, and then we'll take Sunday off. Any questions? See, if some companies are taking the people directly without written test. Then 1 minute, just give me.
Recording stopped.
See, some companies are taking the freshers without any written test also. They are just taking only the interview. So in this case, what is final, you need to know. What is inheritance, you need to know. If you know only the concept, they will hire you. Don't think every company has technical written test. In those companies where they are directly hiring you without any written test, if you know this concept, though you are not doing program, if you know this concept, you will be getting a job for sure. But try to understand or by heart it, it's up to you. They need answer from your end. They don't know how you're answering it. Okay. How to install Java? Yeah. Installation of Java is simple. Just go to Google and search installation of Java for one of the YouTube video. You'll just follow the step. Even you don't need YouTube video. You can just go on clicking next, 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 and done. There is no complicated steps involved in installation of the Java. I don't know, man, which company is taking, but some companies are taking. And also Eclipse, same answer. Just watch YouTube video. These are simple. See, when you go to a company, sometimes you have to install on your own. No one will come and help you installation of Java and Eclipse. Okay, so we'll stop it here for today and we'll resume it tomorrow. Bye for now.